YouTubers, this is another video from your friendly neighborhood reviewer Evelyn. Today we're going to be reviewing some of episode 5 and mostly of episode 6 of the Korean drama series Dr. Cha. So we got left off that Dr. Cha got accidentally electrocuted herself when she was helping to resuscitate the VIP patient, the old guy, in which she saw a semblance of her suspicions that her husband and the first love, that they're still together. But then again, I know she knows. As an audience, she has that feeling, but she doesn't want to accept it yet. And a lot of people that's close to her are seeing the signs, but don't want to tell her because this will completely devastate her. And we found out the biggest bombshell from episode 5 and 6, that the youngest daughter has confirmed that the daughter of the mistress, through a conversation with her mother, they confirmed the fact that the daughter is the half-sister of Dr. Cha's son and daughter. So that bombshell, it's like, that's gonna be the biggest thing, that'll be undisputable, knowing that Dr. Cha's husband, had a illegitimate child. And this woman, even though that it's been 15 years since they got back together, she's still continuing this relationship with the guy. Even her own daughter tells her, like, why are you still with this guy if he's clearly not going to leave his wife? I can understand the half-daughter wanting to connect with her half-sister, so that's why she's there, like, trying to be friends with her. But she did leave. She's leaving the seeds of doubt with Dr. Cha regarding the activities of her husband. So end of the day of episode 5, Dr. Cha's confidence is in an all-time low. She feels that she is neglecting her duties with her daughter, that things are not going right, and her husband, or a piece of work, instead of encouraging her, is more like putting her down. And Dr. Roy gives a little bit of reverse psychology to her, saying, if you have the attitude about starting again your career, about just giving up, then give up. But by the end of the episode 4, and then we get the continuation episode 5, the old man saw the VIP patient, saw the kindness and the perseverance of Dr. Cha helping him to survive, because we get this kind of funny scene where the old business guy goes and says, I had an out-of-body experience. I saw my children basically don't care if I lived or died, or my other business partners that didn't care. You're the only one that cared for me, that tried your hardest to save me, which leaves Dr. Cha happy. But she breaks down to the business guy without her knowing, and he says, like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And she tells him that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave the hospital. And he says, why? Because I'm lacking so many things. So the biggest surprise that we find, continuation from episode 5, the businessman donated, let's say, maybe 10 million or 100,000, let's say, pounds, dollars, and he personally said to everybody, because Dr. Cha was going to go to the head of the department and quit, but he's like, no, come here, we're having a meeting. So they all go down, and the business guy tells everybody, the person I want to thank the most is Dr. Cha Jung-suk. She was the one that stood beside me all the time, and if anyone wants to fire her, I will get back all the money I donated and I go. So from episode 5, Dr. Cha regains her confidence. But the sad bit and the most awful bit, the husband out of desperation starts ignoring his wife in the service because they're in the same group, and she has to fight against her own husband blocking her. And also we see the other story of the female ex-prisoner that's basically on her last days, that Dr. Cha is trying to help the prisoner to receive treatment because she feels guilty about certain things, and the female prisoner tells Dr. Cha she can find, like, her daughter, because the idea was that this woman went and poisoned her abusive husband and she went to jail. But we find out the sad truth, that the wife went and covered for her daughter and pretended she was the one that murdered him, in which the daughter was able to lead on her own life. And inadvertently, Dr. Cha asks her plastic surgeon friend if she can help find this doctor, which she does. And then Dr. Cha has that conversation with the daughter of this convict, and she ends up finding the truth. And we also get within episode 6 that Dr. Roy Kim is trying to get closer to Dr. Cha. He goes and says, instead of being like patient doctor, let's be friends. Well, of course, with the whole traditional things in Korea, the way they speak to each other, the level of politeness towards different age groups, Dr. Cha almost laughs at that and says, well, we're vastly different in age. Well, let's not say too much. Dr. Kim says, oh, so should I call you like Nuna, as older sister, and have a little laugh there. And through no fault means, Dr. Kim goes and tells Dr. Cha, why don't you come running with me? Let's do I train for marathons. And Dr. Cha says, okay, can I bring my friend? Which she brings her plastic surgeon friend. And our plastic surgeon friend leaves that seed in Dr. Cha that Dr. Roy Kim likes her. But of course, Dr. Cha's self-esteem is this small. It's this small because of her husband. There's a lot of emotional abuse that his husband does, and it's just disgraceful. Now, even the worst, and he's really petty, because there's parts within the episode where Dr. Cha confronts her husband and says, let me work, and he doesn't say anything. Then she says about the patient with the VIP that actually he has one thing, and then he says, oh, you're like, how dare you challenge me as, a professor? And then she says, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. So he goes and says, if you're wrong, you'll quit, but if you're right, she says, you let me work, in which he agrees to. Very petty, all that kind of stuff. It's unbelievable that how much Dr. Cha is allowing her husband to speak to her that way. We also get a sigh of relief in the episode in which Dr. Cha's mother gets a health checkup and she's fine, but Dr. Cha's mother-in-law, the husband's mother, finds out that she has thyroid cancer, so we can see the irony there. The big thing in episode 6, Dr. Roy Kim is going out for drinks with his foreign friends, and coincidentally, the other doctor that Dr. Cha's son is getting together with, the other intendant, maybe high up in position, they all see that Dr. Cha's husband is there with his mistress, or the other professor that works in the same hospital. Dr. Roy Kim has put the dots together, and he's shocked, and he's there thinking, should I tell her, should I not? It's a hard thing, it's a real life thing. You may end up finding the secret of somebody you know, but that can end up devastating them. Do you tell them? Do you intercede on somebody else's marriage? And we know, everybody knows that Dr. Roy Kim does like Dr. Cha, but of course, she needs to be ready to accept the truth, because after when her friend tells her that, oh, Dr. Roy Kim likes her, Dr. Cha has a dream about Dr. Roy Kim asking her for, a lunch, a dinner, when she wakes up. So that could be the seeds for her to realize that maybe she can have feelings for him. So Dr. Roy Kim is pondering whether he should tell her, but he sees a sign with the same name of Dr. Cha or Jong-suk, and he ends up going to her. And we get the end scene that Dr. Cha is coming back from the hospital, in which she gets a good compliment from the other doctor that's a bit higher up than her and her son, saying that she went and stopped this drunk guy from going because he had some injuries in the stomach, and that happened to be the case, and he was in a hospital so they can save him. And the female doctor tells Dr. Cha that, oh, he did good work, and that ounce of self-esteem gets built up a bit more, and she's there happy. But of course, when she's going home, she's gonna have to deal with this mess, because Dr. Cha's youngest daughter, she wants to go to art school, but her dad is a complete maniac, wants her daughter also to be a doctor, which is like, what, you can't force everybody to do something that they may not like. So the husband gets a phone call and has in treatment for a cold shoulder, like stiffness, from his daughter's homeroom teacher, and he picks up the call, and of course, after what I'm gonna say next, she's gonna end up blaming her mom because she was too busy to pick up the call. And Dr. Cha's husband finds out that his daughter is planning to go into art school. He goes back to the apartment, and now this bit is abuse. He goes and rips up all his daughter's drawings for her to see, and she comes back and finds this. Now that is an abuse of so much levels. And then we get the ending scene that Dr. Cha is thinking of all the things that it's not seeming right, like how close her husband is with the other woman, like what the woman's daughter said about the golfing place be a place for affairs. So she ends up running somewhere, I don't know, maybe to confront her husband, and she's about to trip and fall face first into the pavement, but Dr. Roy Kim goes and grabs her just in time, and we have the ending scene of episode 6 that he says, I have something to tell you. And then we get a cutscene. I want the truth to be known. The daughter aspect, that's unavoidable. The half-daughter, that's undeniable truth that this guy's a scumbag. And I hope that I keep repeating each episode that the children find out what a piece of work their dad is. So this is the end of the episode. You let me know how you're thinking about the series so far. It's really great. It's touching on the topic. It's taking away that taboo of divorce. Of course, divorce is a painful thing, but isn't it more painful to subject your kids to that never-ending tension, and never-ending disagreement. I hope this show demystifies the aspects of divorce, that it's painful, but sometimes you need to move on for the betterment of yourself and your own kids. So to any new viewers that reach it to the end, I really appreciate we can hit the subscribe button. And to all the subscribers, thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments down below, and as I leave you always,